I would like to show you how to get started writing CSS code. We are working with the same 3 web files. I am in brackets and I have my index.html file open. You can see it is blue. It is the working file. I have typed in my opening and closing style tags. They belong in the head section. They should be placed after the meta element. If you look at the web page, you will see that there is a particular type of font being used by default. The text is black, the background is white, and we have default spacing. All that will be changed using CSS once we start learning more about the different properties. The first thing you always want to do when developing a web page is to set default properties for the entire document. We do that by using the body selector. We have learned that all of the elements in the web page are children of the body, and most of the styles that are applied to the body will be inherited by the children. There are a few styles that are not inherited, and we will learn that eventually. Brackets makes it easy for you to format your CSS code. After I type in my selector, I will type in my first curly brace. Notice it automatically sets the second curly brace. If I hit the Enter key, I can line everything up. Now I can start typing in a property. You always want to set the font size to 100%. Notice as I start typing, it gives me a list of the properties that start with the letters that I type. I can scroll down and I can find font size. Now I will code in a value, 100%. This means that the basic starting font size is equal to the default font size in the user's browser. You always want to set a default font type, and that is the font family property. These are the basic generic font types. However, you might want to choose one first. I'm going to choose Arial. And now I will add a comma, and now I will choose sans serif, which is a default. Sans serif fonts are easier to read on the computer screen, so I always choose them. Notice that you can choose other ones. I could choose Verdana. So what this means is this is my first choice, and if the user does not have that font, this will be the second choice. And if the user does not have either of those fonts, it will default to whatever the default sans serif font is on the user's computer. This font family property is the only one that has commas in the different values. I would like to point that out. Notice how nicely everything was laid out. So if we wanted to change the color of our H1 element, again, notice I type and brackets formats everything. I hit the Enter key. I'm ready to type a property. I'll type the color property. And notice it gives me a list of colors here. You can choose these colors, or you can go on the internet and find a color chart and use that value. So I will save. And now I will preview. It is always a good idea to preview after you've written 1 or 2 style rules to make sure that they're being applied correctly. If they're not being applied correctly, you could have an error somewhere in your code. Now we can see that my font is different, and we can see that my H1 element indeed is dark blue. If you have a mistake somewhere in your code, many times it will show up in the color coding. Notice that all of a sudden my H1 turned red because I deleted the ending curly brace here. If I put it back, my color coding changes. So brackets has default color coding for the different attributes and values and elements in the body, and also for the different selectors, properties, and values in your styles. So the minute you see the color looking strange, it is a cue that something could be wrong.